How you doing? Are you an Aussie? I am. I'm a 5th generation Australian, and tomorrow is Australia Day. I'm always really proud to think about Australia Day. You know, not for any major reasons, but it's just that moment where you sit down and you remember. I remember my grandparents. I remember my parents. I remember my great-grandparents. And I remember the stories about my great-great-grandparents. I'm 5th generation from Fremantle. Fremantle's a little town in Western Australia, and it's the port. It's the port of Western Australia. And my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents were all born and bred there. Even today, the house still stands that where my grandmother was 12. And I go there and I have a photo in front of it. Because I look at it and I go, and it's so tiny. And I look at it and I wonder about all the stories that she had to tell me. And I thought, I can just picture what it must have been like. And the big old fig trees are still across the road. And she wrote a story about how she used to go across the fig trees and play in the gardens. So I like to sit there and reminisce. My grandmother was the manager of the Federal Hotel from 1949 to 1969. So the hotels and the Fremantle has been in my soul for a long, long time. They used to have an old room out the front of the hotel, and it was called the Virgin's Parlour. And the virgins the women would sit in there because they were never allowed in the main hotel where the men were. So my mother, here she was, 9 months pregnant, used to sit in the Virgin's Parlour, have her soda waters, and wait for me to be born. So there's so much history with all of us. All of us have got history. If we go back and we look at it and we look at all of our past and our stories from our parents and our grandparents, they've all told us something that makes us remember who we are today. It's those stories. It's those stories that are our foundations. It's those stories that we then, in turn, pass on to our grandchildren and our, grandchildren's children. Just recently, my grandchildren gave me a painting. And they said to me, Grandma, we thought that you'd like this. And I looked at it, and it was of the Fremantle Harbour. It was of Cicerellos, and it was of all the fishing village there. I looked at this picture, and this is my grandchildren giving this to me. And they've got no idea what they gave me. They just gave me a picture. And I said to them, look at this picture. I said, you see here, my Uncle Ray used to sit on that little piece of beach, and he used to have the Ferris wheel and the merry-go-round, and we used to go in there on the rides, just right down next to Cicerello's. And you've just given me a picture of all of my past, of all of my heritage, and you don't even realise it. I looked at this picture and I was so warm in my heart. It was so touching for me. And these kids had no idea. It's our stories. These are our stories that we pass on. That's why I remember Australia Day. As I said, I remember Australia Day because it's the moment where I think about where I've come from, where I think about where my parents were, where I think about how hard it was for my grandparents, how hard it was for my grandmother who was raising a farm in Balladoo when all the men went to war. These were the women that give me the courage to be who I am today. It's their blood that runs through my veins. It's their stories that still impact my life. They might be well and truly gone, but they are never forgotten. Because tomorrow is Australia Day. And tomorrow I'm going to sit and reflect, and I'm going to think about them. I'm going to think about me. And I'm going to think about my grandchildren. And I'm going to think about I wouldn't be here today without them. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Go and have the best day. Go and reflect. Go and be part of Australia Day. And enjoy every moment with your families. We only get one family. And we only get one chance of creating memories. Every day. Every day. So make tomorrow your memory for your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids. Because one day they'll be like me. They'll be standing here in a mirror talking to you about you. See you later, everyone. Have a good night.